Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the August Curriculum Council meeting. We had some technical difficulties this morning when I met with everybody else, so I just decided to record the meeting separately so that you didn't have any issues and that you could follow along. You should have access to the Moodle site and all of the materials. And if you have in front of you the agenda and the background notes, that's probably what you'll need for us to get started. And I'm going to go ahead and bring up those background notes for myself so that I know what it is that we're talking about. So if you're following along on page 1 of your background notes, the first item is about PVOS. And in the PVOS folks are providing for you a number of professional development opportunities. And handout A, let me take a minute to share my screen with you so that you can see what I'm talking about. If you're in Moodle, you should be able to see underneath the Curriculum Council, if I was in Curriculum Council to begin with. So here's the whole Curriculum Council storage. And I go into supporting documents. And then from supporting documents, I'm looking at handout A. If you opened handout A, you would see an entire professional development booklet. And it does include all the things that are being offered here at the IU. But it also includes the things that are offered throughout the state, as well as things that might be available to you online if you want to take a look at that information. So I'm going to stop sharing and just go back to my background notes here. So that's handout A. One of the things that you want to consider in terms of handout A is or that you'll find in handout A, that there are 2 different offerings that are going to be offered here at the IU face-to-face. We are no longer offering any PVOS 101, for a lack of a better term. We're not offering anything face-to-face in terms of training on what growth is and the basics about PVOS. If you need that, contact me. Happy to provide that for you or anybody else who might need it, and we can contract to do that. But for these trainings that PVOS is offering, there's no charge, and there is training specifically for administrators, and these would be folks who are going to be working with their teachers on how to understand their teacher reports and what those reports will mean, and that is October 27th or November 6th. They're the same training. You don't need to come to both of them. Just mark your calendar for one of them, October 27th or November 6th. The time frame is from 9 till 1 o'clock, and we have there'll be an optional Q&A from 1:15 to 2:30. So I suppose they're going to give you a biology break for about 15 minutes, and then you have the opportunity to come back and have questions answered. Lunch is not provided, but when we send out when you click on the registration link, you'll be given the option of that you're leaving and not sticking around for the question and answer period, so you wouldn't need a lunch. You'll bring your own lunch, or would the IU please provide a lunch, and there'll be a fee then associated with that. So you can choose one of those 3 options. There's also a training for teachers, and that training for teachers is October 1st from 8:30 to 11:30. The links for both of those trainings are down below under BVIU trainings, and we'll get to that in a few moments. In addition to that, PVOS has a number of online trainings that are available. Introduction to PVOS, obviously, these would be people who had no idea what PVOS is. It's a great 90-minute webinar that really gets folks sort of up to speed. Then there's using and understanding PVOS. It's a 3-webinar series that will start in September. It'll cover district and school reporting, teacher-specific reporting, and student reporting. There are 60-minute sessions that are designed to be a series that you might want to take part in. Introduction to PVOS student projections, advanced placement, and a number of others that you can read through. There's even one on Are You Ready to Roster that they're going to put out there. So you can read through those. You'll see them in professional development workbooklet, and those are all webinars. PSSA Keystone bookmarks, we talked about them last month. We posted them there again, and those of you that were able to come in person, I got rid of all the hard copies that I actually had. So if you need them, you'll have to print them out using handout B. I think a few folks actually participated or listened to Deputy Secretary Matt Stem's webinar on state assessment results. That was conducted on July 30th. What I've provided for you is a link if you want to watch that. It was on YouTube. I've also given you a subfolder within your handouts. So within that folder that says documents, there's supporting documents, there's a subfolder, and it contains a number of documents that the Deputy Secretary has provided that would support the things that you would be watching in terms of the webinar. And there are some handouts that you might want to share with parents, students, educators, etc. So basically, the key highlights that came out of that is, yes, the scores are going to be lower. Yes, the cut scores are higher and standards are more rigorous, and therefore the scores were lower. Your results are going to be lower. Consequently, your SPP scores are going to be lower. But want to squelch any rumors that are out there. For some reason, some folks believe they heard Deputy Secretary say that achievement scores for math and language arts would not be included on the SPP, and that is not what he said. What he said is achievement scores for closing the achievement gap for historically underperforming and closing the achievement gap for all students, that will not be included for math and language arts. It's a new base year with new assessments. So closing the achievement gap for math and language arts will not be included on the SPP. But that is not the case for, and that of course is just for the new assessments. That is not the case for achievement in general, just for closing the achievement gap. Another thing that that they talked about is that the department sympathizes with you. They understand that your community and parents are not going to understand the situation. They're working on some additional communication resources in addition to the ones that you've already shared. And then I've also provided for you as handout C in relation to there's an op-ed piece that was written by Amy Morton. She's the former Deputy Secretary. I think many of you know who she is and probably even dealt with her in the past. She's back working in intermediate units now, and she has written an op-ed piece that had the support of all of her superintendents in her region that was sent out to a number of local newspapers. But I have a copy of that. This is handout C if you want to read that. There might be some information in there that if you want to just hand out her op-ed piece, you can, but you might want to just take some of her thinking and feel free to do so. She was more than happy to share that information. So we also have new this year, really in response to the field. PDE has been hammered with requests from people. They want to learn more about item writing and how items are written for those open-ended items are written for the PSSA assessments, and how they're hand scored. What's the hand scoring process? And so the department is offering train the trainer workshops. Each intermediate unit is allowed to nominate and send 12 people. We have nominated 2 from our IU, leaving 10 more for the county. And I am taking folks on a first come, first serve basis because my assumption is you know far better than we do who the right people in your district would be. And we're looking for folks in math, science, and language arts in all of the grade bands. So we'd need somebody at elementary, we'd need somebody at middle school, we'd need somebody for secondary in each of those 3 areas. So ideally, if you have folks that might be interested, if you'll notice on the chart in your handouts, and it would be at the bottom of page 3, there's a chart that says the region of Pennsylvania, the location of training, intermediate units targeted, and the dates. I'm going to go ahead and share that screen for you then so that you can see, just to be on the safe side. You should now be seeing that screen. Down there at the bottom of page 3, I'm looking at that chart in particular where we are, you'll notice that we're in the Southwest. So we are IU 27, and the training for us would be on Wednesday and Thursday, October 14th and 15th. When folks register for this, they really don't register, they apply. And then if they're chosen, they would go to this. And the expectation is they would come back and train other people. And the application process, it asks them to detail how they intend to go about training other people. So be thinking about that when you tag folks. So what I'm going to do is, if you send me an individual or individuals, or if you yourself want to go, they're looking for teachers who are experts in that field and folks who have a curriculum background. So anybody in either of those 2 categories are folks that we'd be looking for. I've applied. Hopefully I'll be chosen. Karen Pilarski here at IU has applied. She applied for elementary mathematics. I applied for middle school mathematics. We believe that, I think that Misty Slavic has volunteered from Freedom, and she would be looking to do secondary English. So we have some folks in those three areas, but that would still mean elementary reading or language arts, middle school language arts, and high school mathematics, and then science across the board we'd still be looking for. So if you are interested or have folks in that area, please send them our way. Send me their names and email addresses, and I will forward the link for them to apply. Application deadline is this Friday. So if, I really need to know probably by Thursday at the latest so I can get the link out. Once I get a name, I send the link out, and then you can make sure that folks are, and I'll copy you on it as well. So if you're interested or you have other people, please let me know, and we'll get those folks trained. Okay. By the way, when they do register, they're going to have to apply. They will choose their first preferred location of training and their second location of training. If in fact they would get targeted to do their second preference, and therefore they'd be traveling more than 50 miles, the Department of Ed would in fact reimburse them for their meeting location, hotel accommodations, travel expenses, meals, mileage, tolls, and hotel. And they will receive Act 48 hours for the 2 days. But the IU won't reimburse, or the department isn't going to reimburse for substitutes. So if you're releasing teachers from classrooms, the substitute cost would be on the IU, or on the district. Okay, Act 71, just to make sure that you realize I've given you the link, a number of resources in terms of supporting Act 71 have been posted on SAS. It's under their Safe Schools section of SAS, but I've also given you the direct link to that. And just as that link itself, giving you the information is PDE's site. And then I have given you just a summary or a reminder of what Act 71 is. That the law requires, this new law that went into effect last summer, requires that we provide professional development to all of our staff on youth suicide awareness and prevention, that we have to adopt a policy and provide professional development for professional educators in buildings serving grades 6 through 12. We also, if you would implement K through 8, we would have to be providing professional development if you implemented at the K to 8 level on child exploitation. So child exploitation, professional development, and curriculum embedding is not a requirement. If you choose to do that, if you choose to embed it in your curriculum, then you're required to have your staff trained on it, but you are not required to do so if you do not implement it. You are, however, required to implement youth suicide. So some resources are provided for you, and for those districts that are participating in countywide in-service, we will have slots for 60 people to start to be trained in that area. PA budget, no real movement. Looks like the governor has sent a pension reform proposal to legislators, but the Republicans are not happy with it and claim it is not actually a real proposal. And that's one of their sticking points for adopting a budget, is that they want some real reform in pension, state pension reform. So we basically are no closer to having a budget today than we were back on June 30th. Some additional information, that really wraps up PDE, and now we'll just be looking at BVIU. Indicated for you that I gave you links. Those are the 2 links. I'll have Jill send them out as a reminder, but if you're doing PVOS training for teachers, or you want to sign up for that, there's the link, or the PVOS training for the administrators, there's the link for that as well. And just as a reminder for the teacher training, that training for teachers is specifically so that teachers are helping other teachers with their teacher reports. You shouldn't be sending anybody to that training who doesn't understand PVOS. Not that I don't want to help those folks, but they'll be lost in the training, and that would not be fair to them. This is really going to be for people who understand PVOS, and it will be for folks who are going to be assisting other teachers in understanding their teacher reports. If you really want to send somebody and they're not up to speed, don't forget there are a million choices, probably not a million, but certainly a number of choices for professional development in PVOS. At the very least, they should go ahead and take a look at that 90-minute webinar on the overview of PVOS and growth. Anybody needs additional support, have them contact me, but please don't come cold. They should have some background in PVOS. And everybody should be coming with technology. They should be bringing their own laptops or iPads or some kind of tablet so that they can access PVOS using their own system. We'll have laptops here, but we won't have enough for everybody, and it's always better to use your own equipment. Obviously, you're more comfortable with it. Principal effectiveness training. We have scheduled a training for new superintendents, new assistant superintendents, new principals, anybody who isn't aware of how they're going to be evaluated or how they have to evaluate principals. So that training is scheduled for September 23rd from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And the fee for that is $75 and lunch is included. And if you don't have the form, send an email to Jill Martin. Her email address is listed in the contact notes in the middle of page 5. She will, on the background notes, I'm sorry, she will send you that registration form if you need it. Okay, everybody's favorite topic, countywide in-service. We are expecting, but have yet to receive, the following in terms of applications. An application from the Beaver County Arts Consortium, an application from New Brighton on teaming, and an application from a member here at the IU on standards-based IEP. So those are 3 things that we're looking for. You'll see a number of trainings that are confirmed. And just since we had this conversation this morning, I've gotten a couple of more in. So this list isn't a complete exhaustive list, but these are the ones that are confirmed and completed from everywhere, for everything from discovery streaming to training for paraprofessionals, mental health, etc. So a number of things that we have listed there. Also, we have 4 districts who are offering something and therefore will be giving the first opportunities to register. Those 4 are Rochester, New Brighton, Beaver, and the intermediate unit. So 4 LEAs are planned on providing training and have submitted sessions, and so therefore their teachers will be eligible to participate. The following districts, we're planning on it, but as of today I've not received information. So these LEAs, Riverside, Southside, the Beaver County CTC, and Beaver Falls, all said they were interested in participating and were planning on sending things, but as of now have not. And so if you want to take a look at those things, either you are no longer planning or you were planning on sending some stuff and send those few things that you were talking about, that would be great. If I could have them even by the middle of next week, that would be fantastic. By the 26th, August 26th would have to be my drop dead date, because we want to send all of the information out on August 31st, and we will only be sending it to the districts who are in fact participating in countywide. And you're participating if in fact you are offering at least 1 session. With the exception of the Beaver County Arts Consortium and the school nurses, those 2 things are open to everybody, but all the other offerings are only open to those districts who are participating. So that's the list. Contact me if you have any questions, if you need the application, etc. Some grants that are being offered from the IU, or not from the IU, from the Beaver County Educational Trust. Mini grants this year, we have $20,000 that we've been given to give out on mini grants. So that is huge, where you can get up to $500 for your classroom in materials, resources, etc. But you would have to describe in the mini grant application what your process is. $500 for any Beaver County teacher, $1,000 for any group. The group would have to include teachers and the building principal. The deadline to apply is October 16th. Applications will go out at the very beginning of September, so you'll have about 6 weeks to complete the applications, but your program has to be completed by May 7th. So for example, some folks will sometimes complete a mini grant application with the intent of offering a summer program, and the grant doesn't fund that. The program has to be implemented by May 7th, and checks will be sent out by, we have to process an award before December 30th, because the checks have to go out then. Only strong applications are going to be funded. We're going to provide a professional development video explaining that the application process. Of course, there's a rubric scoring tool, but people seem to ignore the rubric, and that's why we're going to try the video as well. Low score rubrics will cause disqualification. Not sending enough copies will cause disqualification, etc. So folks really need to pay attention to the instructions. But if they write a good application, there's a really good chance it's going to be funded, considering that we have $20,000 to give away. So spread the word about mini grants. STEM Walk, each district is entitled to one STEM Walk grant of $1,000 for grades 5 through 8, where districts would participate in a STEM Walk. The planning team for that STEM Walk has to include both teachers and students, and the team has to consist of at least 50% females. That's just to support females going into the STEM fields. And then finally, you have story walks. And story walks, we never really know exactly how much money you get, but each elementary school is eligible for story walks. Again, deadlines for all of these are October 16th for submission. So they're going to come out at the beginning of September. You have about 6 weeks to complete the application. And then finally, we have the last two things I want to talk to you about are district presentations and our flipping of the Curriculum Council. So last month we talked about flipping Curriculum Council, not in that we're flipping the entire council, but there are some things that maybe we could get into deeper discussions and support one another in if in fact we were flipping some of the content. So this particular, I had an idea, and that's in the notes, but I think we're going to push that idea off. I provided an article for you to read about grading teachers using value added to grade teachers, and that the results of that are getting high marks. And we were going to read that article and talk about how are we implementing and supporting our teachers in teacher reporting, etc. I think we're going to hold that off until October because a deep discussion came out today around our PSSA scores, CDTs, correlations to CDTs, connections to state averages, communication with parents, how are we, and the public, how are we helping our teachers to make that transition for those that thought they made the transition and really clearly based on the results of the scores have not, and what are the things that we're doing and how can we support each other. So instead, what we have decided we're going to do is our flipped assignment will be to make sure you've looked at your PSSA data and you're prepared to answer those questions. About 2 weeks from now, I will send out a reminder of that assignment along with the specific questions we want people to be ready to come and talk to us about. And so we will be sharing that, and that's the part of our meeting that will be flipped. Dr. Carrie Rowe has created an Excel spreadsheet to help prepare us for that conversation. Those of you who are the main points of contact within the districts, it's a private spreadsheet that nobody has access to unless they were specifically invited by the email address that that is your email address. So only the main points of contact are going to be invited, and the spreadsheet is not going to be shared with anybody, but we're asking folks to put in their average PSSA scores, and we're going to look at that in comparison to the state average and see where we look at how we look as a county. If some of us fared far better than the state average, what did you do differently, et cetera. And so we really want to support each other through this transition, and that's what this conversation is about. So if you're willing to put your data in the spreadsheet, if you would do so, that would help further the conversation. If you're unwilling to put it in the spreadsheet, if you would at least be willing to know what the data says so that you can talk to each other. And again, I'll send a reminder in about 2 weeks. And finally, the last piece is that we're going to ask at each Curriculum Council meeting that we have at least one district willing to share something that's happening within their district and some movement that they're making, some success that they've had, et cetera. And we're going to showcase that district and have them share. For next month, we have had Central Valley graciously agree to present, and they're going to present on their shift to a fully online curriculum, getting away from textbooks altogether. It's a process, so over time, but they're going to share with you what they've created so far and the direction that they're heading. So that should that promises to be a pretty interesting conversation. Excited about the direction Curriculum Council is heading. I hope you are as well. Sorry that a number of you couldn't attend today. Just with a few people that we had a really good discussion, and I think will shape things moving forward. So fast, quick and dirty. It was a little bit longer when we were all together with the conversations, but at least you got the content today. And let me know if you have any questions or concerns. Also, please don't hesitate to email me if you're interested in either being going to the Train the Trainer on PSSA yourself, or if you have individuals in the classroom or the school teachers that you want to send me their names. I'm taking folks first come, first serve. And if you're a member of the countywide in-service, participating in countywide in-service, if you had stuff to send me, please make sure you get that to me by next Wednesday at the absolute latest. And then finally, PVAS training or principals evaluation training. Get your folks registered for those if in fact you're sending people. So otherwise, have a great day and a fabulous start to the new school year. Here's hoping it runs incredibly smoothly for everyone. And we'll talk to you soon.